don't know what I'm doing anymore.
You've got a second chance, you could go home.
That guy that you're still crying over did not want to be with you. He chose to leave you. He chose not to fight for you. He chose not to make it work. And you are still idealizing him in your mind as if he was the one. He's the one that got away. He was your soulmate. How could that possibly be the one? How could he possibly be your forever soulmate if he chose to not stay? He chose to put you back out into the world, which is essentially saying, hey, other guys, you can have her. Why? You should only want to be with somebody that wants to be with you. Yes, you can miss him. You can be sad and grieve the relationship. I get it. Breakups suck. But stop putting him on this pedestal in your mind that he was the person for you and he was the best thing that ever happened to you. He was great for the time. He was great. But stop focusing on only the positive, especially if the only negative thing, you're like, oh, but he was great. Our relationship was perfect. But in the end, he chose not to stay. In the end, he chose to go. So if that is the only thing that you need to rest your head on to move on from this guy, he chose not to be with me. He didn't want me. He's letting other men choose me. How am I still crying over him? Because right now he's out there living his life. He's working. He's scrolling through Instagram. He's choosing to not text you right now. He's choosing to not call you. He's calling his mom. He's going to the gym. He went to the grocery store. He's still out there doing stuff. And none of them have to do with you. So if this is the sign that you needed to move on from him, you're welcome. But if you're ready to really find your husband and like just put all this stuff behind you and date from a place of more confidence, go and link my bio, sign up for my course, find your effing husband. It'll change your life.
Brothers, I've never been able to understand how women accept this advice. If you're selling me a course on how to get a husband, I at least expect you to have one, because if you don't, then what are you selling me? Smoke? Because if it doesn't work for you, who has the knowledge, how would it work for me? Brothers, the greatest power a man has over a woman is his attention. Women are addicted to attention. If you, as a man, see her pulling away, it might be because you're giving her too much attention. You should distance yourself, make her miss you. Remember, even your favorite dish, if eaten every day, becomes cloying. Learn to give your absence as a gift to those who don't value your presence. A woman becomes obsessed with a man she has to make an effort to keep his attention. If you're always there for her, then let me tell you, she'll get tired of you because she's not putting in any effort to make you stay, and she'll end up putting you in the friend zone. So, brothers, if she's acting strange, distance yourself. Remember that you are the prize. Learn to create absence.
After my divorce, I thought things would just get better. Time would heal all wounds, and after a certain amount of time, I'd just be back on track. And that couldn't be further from the truth. And I'm not saying that time doesn't help. I just wasn't doing the things I needed to do to heal and grow and move forward and actually move on from what had just happened. Because you have to grieve and heal and process emotion and figure out a plan for your next chapter. I wasn't doing any of that. So after longer than necessary, I did figure out how to put your life back together after divorce and do it in a really beautiful, big, wonderful way. This is just a reminder that if you're going through this right now, it's okay to feel the feelings and take some time. Don't forget that you've got to take the steps necessary to get to that next chapter. That's exactly what I do now. I help women start over after divorce. If you feel stuck and you need help with a plan, you can schedule a free 15-minute call with me, and we can kind of talk about where you're at and where you want to go and how I can help you get there. But no matter what, don't forget, it's gonna be okay. You got this.
Another dating coach, but at least this one is divorced, so at least she knows what she's talking about because she doesn't have a husband. At least what she sells, she delivers. Brothers, I can only tell every divorced man listening to this that you heal. My friend, you do heal. Today, you might feel like you failed or lost, but it all depends on how you look at it, because one thing you didn't lose is your freedom, the opportunity to start anew and do it better this time. One of the advantages of being a man is that if you take care of your body, improve your skills, work on yourself with a positive mindset, brother, you'll get through this setback. Why do you think you see women regretting their divorce more than men after years? Because you can take everything away from a man, but if he has the right mindset, he can get another woman, another house, more children, and keep going until he achieves a better life again. That's why, brother, I always say, your greatest priority in this world is you.
So today, I moved.
And even though it may not look like I moved, because this is my pile. This is literally my pile that is gonna be for goodwill, but it just goes to show you that I had all this extra stuff that I clearly didn't need, but had it in here because I had a home and I had a house and I had the space for it. And I am going to a suite now, and a 2-bedroom suite, and so I was like, don't need this shit, it's all extra, even bags of clothes. And it's kind of crazy. I'm moving, starting a new journey, which I'm excited for. I'm scared. I don't know why I'm scared. I think I'm just do fine, but I guess maybe because I'm alone, I'm scared. But a new beginning. I was in a 10-year marriage. It just went from good to bad, and I wasn't happy anymore. We just went our separate ways. We just didn't have a relationship, and I was in this relationship, I think, for convenience. And it was just easy being in a relationship because we were already married. But today is a new beginning. And I just want to share my journey, and I'm hoping people will share their journey with me. If you've left a relationship, I mean, it's not easy. It is not fucking easy. But we got this. We fucking got this.
Brothers, you heard it right. I was in this relationship out of convenience because, for a woman, a man is just a number. Women are hypergamous by nature. They judge you based on what you can bring to the table. That's why I say men marry for love, while women marry for a lifestyle. A woman offers you monogamy as long as you can provide for her. In this case, 2 things happened. Either they didn't have a house, or she couldn't take it from him, so she had to move. The irony is that the woman complains about being afraid to start over, about how difficult her journey will be. How difficult can it be to start over when you take half of my money, in some cases take my house, and in others, I have to pay alimony and child support. With all this, starting over is challenging, especially when even the debts stay with the man. Brothers, this is the irony of marriage. It's an expense to get married and a loss for the man to get divorced. So, how can you be afraid to start over when you come out with more advantages than you entered? Choose wisely, brothers, because for a man, starting over is a daunting task.
I regret to inform you all that the incels have been incelling again. If you are frequently on Reddit, you might have noticed that ever since the API debacle and Reddit deciding to go public with its stock offerings, your recommended subreddits may have changed. One of the subreddits that's been popping up on my feed has been r/TrueRateMe. It's supposedly a spot where you can post selfies and get a real accurate rating from 1 to 10 as to how attractive you are. When you consider that the person posting the picture is consenting to being rated, it doesn't sound all that bad at face value. All of the posts I have seen have been absolutely drop-dead gorgeous women, and every time I've clicked on the comment section to see what they were rated as, it's been appallingly low. That set off alarm bells in my head, so I thought, there's gotta be more to this. So I looked a little deeper. I know this is hard to read because the text is ridiculously small, but this is their rating guide. 10, they say, is basically unattainable. They have Brie Larson at a 5.5, as well as Keke Palmer. Here's the second half of the scale. I also noticed that if you overrate on that subreddit, you have like 3 chances to do so, and then they ban you. Now, right now, you may be thinking that I'm just overreacting. Maybe they're just really strict with their rules, and maybe they're very picky. Let me show you what I dug up on the history of this subreddit. You see, there have been articles written about this subreddit due to the ridiculous rating system. This is a conversation between a moderator of this subreddit and the person who wrote this article. It says, at True Rate Me, high scores, particularly for women, are deleted by moderators such as myself, and people who give high ratings are permanently banned, while no ratings are ever deleted for being too low, too insulting, or too crude. This gives us the capabilities to, quote, gaslight women and control how they see themselves. He goes on to say that one of the other mods is currently being investigated for police for encouraging someone to unalive themselves. He goes on to say that this subreddit was created to, quote, encourage people to unalive themselves based on warped self-image. The internal lingo was that we could build this subreddit to be unalive fuel. He also says that a lot of the pictures that are posted there are actually stolen, and that practice is encouraged by the moderators. In short, that entire subreddit is a scheme to make women feel shitty about themselves. It is literally a subreddit that was created to knock women down a peg. So if you saw that subreddit and you got an icky gut feeling, your gut was right.
Brothers, there's nothing that affects women more than their image. Just look at this same woman who uses filters for her videos. She attacks men who choose to be alone, labeling them as incels. Now, I wonder what term is used for women who are single, who reach their 30s without a partner, or have no one. I don't know what they're called, but let's say they're hitting the wall, and the wall doesn't forgive. I've always noticed that people who complain or get offended are the ones who never meet the desired standard. She probably posted her photo, got a 4, and is angry because the blindfold has been lifted, revealing that she's not a 10. Yes, because all women think they're a 10, and when it doesn't add up, we see it in comments on Instagram. Women commenting on another woman's photo, calling her beautiful and a marvel, but you don't see a single comment from the opposite sex. This just indicates that she's not attractive. Everything a man does today, or any community where men are present, is attacked by a woman who wants to be involved where she's not called. Brothers, that's why I tell you women need external validation. That's why things like this affect them. That's why things like their physical appearance and age are something they are very conscious of because they know it's not enough to get the man they want.
All your lovely comments just made my day. And it's not to say that I want anybody else to be single for 10 years, but I had actually felt quite ashamed to admit that it had been so long. I'm wrestling because, you know, if you want to get with me, you have to come to my Saturday sourdough run. So I'm just going to make myself some toast. It's not something that I thought would endear me to date people. You know, when you say to somebody, I've been single for 10 years, surely that's a red flag. I've barely even dated. That's the other thing. The dating apps are just soul suckers. And somebody messaged me and said they're like a full-time job without the wage. And it is, when you go on those dating apps, you're just consistently giving a little part of yourself. See, this is the other reason why I'm single, because I've got a little monster down here. But it feels like you're giving a little bit of yourself every single time. And every single time you're giving a little bit of yourself, and that can be very soul crushing. And I want to keep my emotional well-being intact rather than to constantly give out. You know, you're giving out your story, aren't you, when you go on these dates every single time? And I don't enjoy it. I actually don't enjoy the dating part. I kind of want to skip to the good bit, if you know what I mean. I want to get to know you really quickly, and then I just want to feel comfortable with you. So yeah, dating's a jungle, and if anybody's got any tips, give me a shout.
Here's the advice. You've hit the wall, and the wall doesn't forgive. Women want to change their pieces when it's too late. It's been 10 years since they were in a relationship, and people wonder why they're likely divorced. Maybe they thought the grass would always be greener on the other side. This is because dating apps are ruining women's lives. Women only match with about 20% of men, meaning many are left out. The men they happen to like might not be interested in them, and when they decide to go on a date, they realize it will be tough because these men don't seem interested. That's why they say it feels like their soul is being drained. They have to retell their story over and over, see how men judge them. When they inevitably mention divorce, it's a red flag to men because we all empathize with a brother who has gone through a disastrous divorce at the hands of a woman who claimed to love him. As I said, they've hit the wall, and the wall doesn't forgive.
So I had somebody reach out to me and tell me this story, and I just want to know, do you guys think that cheating is justified at any point? And let me explain. This person reached out to me and said that he cheated on his wife after 20 years of marriage because for 10 of those years, they have not had sex. Not only have they not had sex, they've also been to marriage counseling 2 separate times on her request, and she's quit both times the moment that the therapist has held her accountable. Not only that, is he feels so lonely and so heartbroken that he feels almost invisible to his wife. He feels so invisible and so lonely in his marriage that he feels like even if he told his wife that he cheated, she wouldn't believe him or care because she literally ignores him every single day, all day, no matter what he tries to do. He has said that he has tried everything. He's gone to counseling with her, even though he doesn't want to. He's done the flowers, he's done the date nights, and most of the time, she rejects him. And let's just put this into perspective. If a woman's needs are not met, then it's his fault that she cheated. So in this scenario, if we use a woman's logic and he cheated because his needs weren't met, does that also mean that that's also okay? Because if a woman messaged me saying this, the comments would say something like, oh, he deserved it, he wasn't there for you, blah, blah, blah. But we have a different scenario where this man is literally doing everything he possibly can and nothing is working. She won't file for divorce. She keeps him trapped on purpose because she doesn't want him to move on. So he finally gave in and cheated on her. What do you guys think? Okay, bye.
It's funny because it's true.
Personally, I don't support infidelity in any way. If I'm in a relationship where there's no connection within the first year, I try to work on it. If by the second year things are still the same, I file for divorce. I'm not looking for a roommate, much less one I have to financially support. Life is too short to live with someone who makes you unhappy. This man should have been upfront and left her before the situation got out of hand. Now, it's his wife's fault if he's trying to save the relationship and she's not doing her part. Even if he cheats on her, she doesn't seem to believe him or care. This makes me think that either she's also cheating on him, or she simply doesn't care about him anymore beyond what he provides. There are women who lose interest in intimacy, and this seems like a typical case of a marriage with a dead bedroom. This man has two options: leave her, which would be ideal, or find a mistress. In that scenario, the wife remains the caretaker and the perfect woman in the eyes of society, while the mistress fulfills him intimately. I don't recommend it, but there are people who live this way their entire lives. If she doesn't want to put in the effort, as many women say, he deserves to be happy too.
You know what I don't think is talked about enough in post-divorce life is how much that breakup, that very first breakup of a somewhat serious relationship where feelings are really getting involved, sucks. Like almost worse than the divorce itself. Now, what I did in my marriage was basically slow quit. No, I didn't know what that was at the time, but my feelings for him and the breakup kind of was happening over a period of years where it was just a very slow death to the relationship. And when you get out of a marriage or you separate from that person, and I jumped into another relationship within 6 months of us separating, thinking I was ready, even though technically I was still married. So don't recommend that, but you got to figure it out for yourself. And that relationship moved very quickly because I went right back into wife mode. He was also recently divorced. So we were kind of each other's, I would say, rebounds. And so I kind of just went right back into wifey mode and just kind of played that role and tried to recreate those feelings. But I don't know that I got super emotionally deep with this person because I don't think that we were compatible like that. It wasn't until about a year and a half after that when there was somebody that I really felt had potential for me to fall in love with. And I dove right into that, right? And it was a love bomby, anxious avoidant kind of a thing, but I wasn't aware of what that was at the time. And it only lasted about 6 weeks and it fizzled out just as quickly as it started, but it lingered. Like that breakup and its impact on me really lingered. And here's why. Because that was the first time I had to really face that there were patterns that I thought were only exclusive to my ex-husband and me and our dynamic that I started to recognize, oh, this is happening again with somebody else, or these same things are coming up, or these same feelings, or the same anxiety was coming up. I don't think I can keep blaming it on everybody else because I'm the common denominator.
Habit is stronger than love. This woman said something key: I am the common denominator. This sums up what many women realize after leaving their husbands, getting into a new relationship, and failing again. It's as if life, through karma, teaches them the hard way that they were always the problem. That's why statistics don't lie. 50% of marriages end in divorce, but second and third marriages have a failure rate of 60 to 70%. This pattern repeats itself over and over. In her case, it's clear that she didn't close one chapter before opening another. She got divorced, and 6 months later, she was already with another man. What could possibly go wrong?
Ouch! That's the hardest part about getting back into the dating world post-divorce, is trying to navigate the healing journey of what you thought were problems that were exclusive to your marriage that then start showing up in different relationships. And you have to now start to look at yourself as, what is it that I'm either being drawn to, or what is it that I've normalized that I'm being attracted to that actually isn't in my best interest, that actually ends up hurting me. Relationships really are the best mirror to your healing and your own personal development, but most people don't choose to see it. They blame everybody else. Why? Because it's easier to blame everybody else, right? They're the problem. I'm the victim. Therefore, I don't have to change and address the things that are really challenging and, go back to attachment styles, or I don't have to do the heavy work of looking at myself. And I understand that the comfort zone of the known is much more enticing and feels safer than the risk of doing the unknown. And so that's why often people go through breakups, that they're ready to start to face the music and start on their healing journey, because staying the same is a repeated pattern that gets too painful to maintain. So just as a little bit of words of wisdom, and if you jumped right into a relationship after a divorce, you are welcome to share your advice in the comments as well. But if you're going through a divorce, or you've just gotten divorced, yes, you can date. Yes, you probably should date, because they're good learning lessons. But I don't want you going into those of just trying to get back into a long-term relationship. Otherwise, you're just going to repeat the patterns, right? And divorce rates on second marriages are way higher than the first time around, because people don't take the time to learn themselves and to heal the parts of them that contributed to the decline of the marriage. I don't care if the other person was the main aggressor or the main reason why your marriage failed. You also were complicit in it, in that you allowed it to happen for whatever, or you made the choice to be with that partner in the first place. Like, there were parts of you that created that environment for the relationship to fail as well. And that's really hard. Most people don't want to hear that, especially when the other person was a narcissist or a cheater or all of those other things. But there were parts of you that were drawn to a person that was capable of those things.
This new loss hurts you more than your divorce. Why? Because you had probably already grieved the relationship while still in it, long before asking for the divorce. As I mentioned before, the person who initiates the divorce prepares mentally to leave the relationship, while the one on the receiving end never sees it coming. That's why, when you enter a new relationship, everything seems perfect at first. If your previous marriage had a dead bedroom or an unsatisfying intimate life, this new adventure feels like paradise. Everything is twice as enjoyable, until things start to get serious and the fun ends. She admits it herself. She repeats the patterns of a wife with a man who doesn't want to play the role of a husband. That's why almost relationships hurt so much. It's a fresh wound that brings you back down to reality. It's at that moment when many people start to regret their divorce, because they realize they lost someone who truly loved them. Everything that comes afterward is just a series of new, accumulated disappointments.
And those are the things that you're going to want to understand about yourself, so that you don't recreate it in the future. That's where your power lies. Like, even for me, I go back to the first few months that my ex-husband and I were dating. And I remember very clearly my gut and my body telling me, like, this isn't it. Like, end things with him. And I remember crying outside of his apartment, not wanting to go inside because I knew I had to break up with him. And then I didn't follow through with it. There was another time, kind of about 6 weeks before we got married, and, all invitations are out, like all of the wedding stuff was done. And I was like, I don't think this is it. But I still went through with it. And I loved him dearly, and I was all in on the marriage. But I can look back at those of, like, my gut was trying to tell me that this wasn't going to be a good fit for me. And I got free will, and I continued on with it. And it's not that I regret marrying him, but I regret not listening to my own voice, because I did lose myself in that relationship. Beautiful learning lessons. Wouldn't change a thing, because I love who I am now. But those are the moments that you can go back and look at, how was I the creator of the life that I've lived? Because it's so easy to default that other people have wronged you, other people have hurt you, but you lose all power in not recreating those painful experiences when you just leave it up to everybody else as the problem. And it is a beautiful and very tough experience to choose your own healing, to go look at the parts of you that chose this person that was hurtful towards you, or that you had the best intentions, but maybe you ignored the red flags or you ignored opportunities for you to advocate for yourself. That's where the healing work begins, is where can you take radical responsibility for your life and how it's unfolded? Because the beautiful side of that is that you then can be empowered to change and correct the things that were, I'll call it maladaptive, but were trauma responses or attachment style challenges that got you to the place that you are now, and start to make different decisions along the way so that you start to live the life and have the relationships and the partnerships and the marriage or whatever it is that you want that's really fulfilling and rewarding to you.
Hey, bro. What? Oh my God!
This woman follows the same pattern. She's into chads, men who bring nothing to the table but give her an emotional roller coaster. Even though she knew everything would go wrong, she chose to keep going. She had to go through another chad to finally realize that she was the problem from the very beginning. As the saying goes, if you play with fire, you're going to get burned. This woman's hands are already completely burned. There are many women like this. They need to go through several chads and hit rock bottom, often after 50 therapy sessions, to finally acknowledge that the problem lies in their choices. And even then, they end up blaming men for the decisions they themselves made. Responsibility will always be kryptonite for women.
And what that looks like for me is when I am kind of in the talking stages with someone, I'm very aware of how my body feels. Like even if I'm on a date with someone and having a conversation, do I feel safe right now? Like, does my body feel comfortable? And yes, there's some newness and kind of some awkwardness when you're meeting somebody for the first time. I know for me specifically, just in the line of work that I do, when I get into coach mode, I can tell I'm not safe. It's because I'm trying not to be vulnerable, because when I'm coaching, I'm not vulnerable. It's not about me. And so if I notice I'm doing that on a date where I'm asking them coaching type questions, like, oh, tell me more about that. Oh, where do you think that comes from? Like those types of ways as a means of me protecting myself. And so that awareness only comes from learning yourself and learning what your default protection mechanisms are, and having standards for yourself outside of dating and attachment. Like before you start dating someone, having very clear standards on what works for you and what doesn't work for you. For me, if somebody is not self-aware and not either in therapy or doing the healing work or, doing their own personal journey, they're going to fucking hate me after a couple months, because I love those chats. I love the deep talks. I love understanding human behavior. It is my world, right? I'm very effective at it. And if they aren't on that journey themselves, they're not going to value that in me. And that is one of the qualities I value most in myself. So we're already going to be misaligned, in the experience. When you start to get attracted to a person, all of a sudden logic goes out the table because you're just trying to get the validation and attention from somebody attractive. No! There's so much more to successful relationships than attraction. And so that's my challenge to you. If you're going through divorce or you've been recently divorced and you're trying to figure out the dating world and relationships and what's next, is really ask yourself, have you done healing work where you feel like you understand your needs in a relationship and partnership, and you will only be with someone and only entertain the idea of someone where you feel safe enough to advocate for your needs? Because if those things aren't at play, then we've just got attachment going on. It's not actually a true fulfilling relationship where you're going to thrive. You let me know in the comments. Is it important for you to do the healing work, or do you do your best healing in relationships and the ups and downs that come with that? Because it's a wild world out there, I tell y'all. It's a wild world. And hey, my name's Tara, and I'm on mission to create a self-aware army. I'm just lonely in these self-aware streets.
When you start feeling attracted to someone, logic goes out the window. In simple terms, decisions are made based on how they make you feel. Women, being emotional by nature, tend to act from emotion. They know the man is bad for them, they're aware of the red flags, but they still jump out of the plane without a parachute because he gives them an emotional roller coaster they're addicted to. That's why I always tell men, genuine interest is non-negotiable. If a woman truly loves you, she'll keep choosing you even if you're not perfect. Many women have that savior complex, wanting to fix unstable men with the classic idea of, he'll change for me. But Chad doesn't change. We've said it countless times here, and they don't listen. They keep chasing these men and then complain about the results, forgetting that they themselves are the problem.
Because I hate that stupid bitch so bad. I hate him. never hated a motherfucker more in my life. Stupid. Oh, him. I hate him. Fuck him. Oh my god. Like, why the fuck?
Let's please get one thing straight. I'm not with my baby daddy. I'm not with him. We have not been together for like over a year now, but he still will find any way possible to make my life a living hell. So, what can I say?
God damn it! You can't make this shit up!
Responsibility is kryptonite for women. They're the only ones who can complain about absolutely everything, even when they have complete control over the decisions. They choose from multiple men who they want to date, decide who gets access to their bed, whether or not to use protection, and whether to take measures to avoid pregnancy. So, how is it possible that after making all those decisions, they end up hating the man they chose themselves? The answer is simple. They regret their decisions. They don't like taking responsibility for their actions or dealing with the problems they created. If you choose to have Chad's baby, don't complain about the consequences. The responsibility for your decisions is yours, and crying or blaming others won't change the outcome.
Right, this one's probably going to ruffle a few feathers actually, but if the father of your child is mistreating you, you are absolutely within your rights to stop contact. And I'll tell you why I think this. If the father of that child is mistreating you and is giving you verbal abuse, is on your case, what you're doing, withholding this, withholding that, and questioning you and beating you down, what do we think that is doing to the child? One, that's unhealthy for a child to see and it's very toxic. Two, you are the main source and primary carer of that child. And if you're not at your 100%, what are you giving your child? And if you're not at your 100% because of that man, then he doesn't give a fuck about his child. And you're going to get loads of people come out and disagree with this, but they're wrong. Any man who makes it about the mother rather than having his main focus on his child and helping that mum to support the child for the child to be at their best, doesn't give a fuck about his kid. And you are in your absolute right to go no contact. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
Most mothers are like this woman. They believe that what's best for the child is whatever they consider best for themselves. If keeping the child away from the father seems convenient to them, the state is ready to back them up, even when the father wants to be present in his child's life. They disguise it with the phrase, "what's best for the child." What's curious is that what's best for the child always seems to involve keeping the father's money flowing, but not his presence. That contact doesn't matter, but the payments must continue without fail. According to them, that's what's best for the mother. Oh, excuse me, I misspoke. What's best for the child? Then, when the child grows up and wants to have contact with their father, or when the mother can no longer control the child due to her own unstable life, that's when the hatred starts to boil over, and they begin poisoning the child against the father. Sadly, this is something that has become far too common nowadays.
I want to be the weekend parent. Just for like a month, I want to be able to be the weekend parent. Like, I love being a mother. I absolutely do. But there's a whole other side of parenting that I've never got to experience, and that's being the weekend parent. I'd like to be able to be the fun one where we just get together on weekends and, like, we just get to go do fun stuff. I'd like to be the one who doesn't have to be the disciplinarian all the time. I've been the primary parent in my children's entire lives. I have 3. And I would love to just know what the experience like is on the other side to be the weekend parent. You don't have to do all the weekly stuff. You don't have to figure out all the meals all week. I want a month of being the weekend parent.
Be the weekend parent. Be the weekend parent. If you feel that strongly, be the weekend parent. But let me guess, you being the weekend parent takes away from the amount of child support that you would get. So of course you're not going to do that because you don't want to give up your financial resources to just be the weekend parent and actually have to pay child support to him. And we both know that the majority of men are the breadwinners, so the likelihood of him quitting his job so he can do the full-time parenting or have a part-time job is not plausible because you would, again, get less money. And just like you just said, you could only last a month. So why can you not consider how it feels for the dads to have it set like this for their entire lives? Did you know that weekend dads that only get weekends miss out on 14 years of their child's life if you really do the math? But no, you're too busy worrying about all of the things that you have to do as a parent as your responsibility with or without the other half, while simultaneously preaching that you love your kids and you love being a mother so much, which is fucking bullshit because you're resentful for the amount of work that you have to do, likely by your choice. I can almost guarantee that you moved away. You made it impossible for dad to be there on the day-to-day, and you can't even fathom the pain that he feels to miss out on school activities. You can't fathom how it feels to miss the day-to-day. You can't fathom missing milestones. You can't even fathom missing bath time, bedtime, or even being able to do homework. You think dad is just sitting there like, yay, I don't get to do that, but I love my week. No. Most dads that want to be involved are heartbroken every single day that their child calls them with something new or exciting to tell them because they're not physically there. And the fact that you can be so insensitive about a topic like this just tells me everything that I need to know about you. Why is it assumed that dads don't do anything? You act like, the weekends are just fun time, but does sickness get to pick and choose when it comes, as if kids are not sick on the weekend and you have to take them to the doctor or the ER? Or as if there's no discipline ever the entire weekend and these kids are just running rampant? Or as if dads don't take the time even on weekends or holidays or the time that they do have to teach their sons or daughters new tricks or ride a bicycle or do all of the things that he would do if you guys were still together. But again, you can't even think outside of the box or outside of yourself for even 2 seconds. And this goes back to what I always say. Women set the standard, so you set the standard to be the primary parent, and then you're resentful for it. And then you're resentful that you become such a bitter-ass baby mom that you sit there and act like the dads are shit because they're Disneyland dads or weekend dads, even though you're the one that set it up like this in the first place. It's almost like any dad that loves his children gets punished for it. Any dad that wants to be involved always gets less time, but these deadbeats that are out here not doing anything, that don't want to be involved, the mothers will literally beg and give them as much time as they want. Tell me how that's fair. Okay, bye.
She doesn't understand the damage she's causing to the children by keeping them away from their father or limiting contact to once a week or supervised visits. This doesn't benefit the children. It only perpetuates a narrative that's convenient for the mother. Take a look at these shocking statistics. According to 2014 data, 82.5% of custodial parents are mothers, while only 17.5% are fathers. Moreover, research by Mack et al., 2007, found that the absence of a father figure is closely linked to an increase in both violent and nonviolent criminal behavior among young people. On the other hand, according to 2017 data, 70% of people living in poverty in the country are women and children, and half of the children in this situation are being raised by single mothers. A 2014 report indicates that 1/3 of families headed by single mothers live in poverty. This is no coincidence. 80% of divorce filings are initiated by women, and they almost always mask their decisions under the pretext of what's best for the child, when in reality, they're seeking what's most convenient for themselves.
So my TikTok went very viral, and I did not know or expect that, as everybody I'm sure doesn't. But I think I should come on here and clarify a little bit that me and my baby daddy, yeah, like I said, we're not together, but we actually do have a pretty decent co-parenting relationship overall for the most part. So, like, I know people out there have it worse. But he's still an asshole, and legally I can't really go into detail about the situation. Trust me, I would love to. But I can't, and I won't be that person. So I'm just going to leave it at where the video lies. But I did want to say thank you for all the support also that I'm getting and all the messages of you guys, like, checking up on me. It really does mean a lot because I don't feel like I feel very defeated and, like, by myself in this situation, to be honest. If I talk more about it, I'll cry more. But yeah, I just really wanted to say thank you guys for all the support because it really does mean a lot. Yeah, and you guys are all, like, my new besties now. So, like, when I post, we could just have a little chat. We could be besties, all of us. But seriously, on a real note, thank you guys so much. And for all the women who are in my comments and in my DMs saying they're going through the same thing, if not 10 times worse, I am so sorry. I'm here for you. I hear you. I see you. It doesn't have to be this way. It shouldn't be this way for most of us. And yeah, if y'all ever need somebody to reach out to, like, y'all could reach out to me. I mean, I ain't famous. Sure, we can talk about it. If you're having, like, the same issues, why not? Yeah, I don't really know how this TikTok stuff works, though. I'm not good at talking to myself through the phone. But yeah, I really just wanted to come on here and say thank you guys so much, and that I'm probably going to continue to make videos since y'all are all, like, watching my page right now. Hey, bestie. So yeah, I want all you guys to stick around and be my best friend.
Stop it. Get some help.
As I said, an unstable woman seeking attention from strangers on the internet. This is the new model of modern women, sharing all their problems with strangers on social media, always from the position of a victim, because, of course, she's the woman, she's the victim. What's ironic is that, legally, she can't even tell her full story. What kind of man did she choose as the father of her child? But, as I mentioned earlier, responsibility is kryptonite for women, and seeking attention is an addiction for them. The worst part is that, even without revealing details, she's already laying the groundwork to defame the father of her child. She does all of this subtly, casting herself as the heroine of her story.
Yo, I just did some dumb shit. It's like I'm a stupid idiot. Y'all wanna know what the fuck I just did? So the man that I'm talking to, well, not anymore, but the man that I was talking to, he's an Applejack family state. My girls I know, no. All right? And this morning I was getting ready, doing my makeup for work, and I'm texting my friend and Snapchatting my friend, my twin, I'm no twin, I'm Snapchatting twin, and I'm telling her on this video, how I'm tired of having skinny Applejack cinnamon stick. I want a big muscular man. Yo, I fear I sent the video to my Applejack cinnamon stick. I've been at work all day. It is 10 o'clock at night. I'm opening his Snapchat. She said, "You got me fucked up." I said, like, what? Why? I was just getting off work. She said, "That video you sent." What video? Instantly I knew. I just be doing shit, y'all. I don't even mean it.
And then she starts crying over the bad decisions she made when choosing the father of her child. As I mentioned before, addicted to attention, she's now become a content creator, because that's what she was really after from the very beginning. What do you think, brothers? Is this a way of facing her problems, or just another attempt to shift the attention back to herself?
A number of years ago, I had a client that fell into what I call the child support black hole. What that is where a father will get behind on his child support. In this case, the father owed about $600 a month in child support for 3 kids from 2 different women. That was his ongoing child support. Well, he began to fall behind because he would lose jobs. He would get jobs that paid cash and he wouldn't pay the money to child support. He even did a little stint in jail for DUI. Well, when the grim reaper of child support finally showed up at his doorstep, he owed about $40,000 in child support, back child support, arrears. There was no way he was ever going to be able to pay that. Well, what the child support office did was every time he would get a job making money at a factory or a company, they would issue a wage assignment. And with that wage assignment, they would take about 50% of his earnings. So if he was getting paid $12 an hour, child support would take $6 of that 12.
This is completely unfair. As a man, I will always say, if you have a child, you must take responsibility for your seed, because that's also your child, and that's what a masculine and responsible man does. That said, the system also needs to change. The way the state goes after men for child support is disproportionate. Fair payment agreements are needed because accumulating so much debt, especially with interest, doesn't benefit the mother or the child. It only pushes the father away from his children and destroys any chance for that man to rebuild his life or create wealth. But let's continue.
And after taxes, that would leave him about $3 or $4 an hour to live on. And that's not enough to live on. His incentive to make money and to pay child support was completely shot. It was gone. His incentive to be a father was gone because he couldn't provide for his kids. So he rarely saw his kids. He wasn't really a father to them. What he ended up doing was dropping out of society. He got menial jobs, making cash money. If he did get a job at a factory or someplace that would report his income and his employment and a wage assignment issued, he'd quit and go work somewhere else because he couldn't handle only getting $3 or $4 an hour. I don't know what the answer is in that case, but when he hits 80 years old, if he's still alive, he's going to owe tens of thousands of dollars in child support. What I mean by that is he'll never get it paid off. What do you think the solution is to that? If there is a solution, and there may not be. And I believe that all parents should financially support their children if they're able. But when you put somebody in that big of a detriment as it relates to child support, they're going to lose all incentive to be a father, to be a provider for their kids. What do you think the solution is? You got any ideas?
The solution should involve a fair agreement between the parents. I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say that the mother should take full responsibility for the child, because that's not how it should be. A man should always take responsibility for his seed and actively participate in his child's life, beyond just providing money. I propose that payment agreements be made directly with the mother, without the need to go through family court. Additionally, child support debts should not accrue interest, because that only makes things worse. If a father owes $10,000 and cannot pay for 2 or 3 years, interest could cause that debt to rise to $15,000 or more. That's not fair to the father, and it's not fair to the child either. Another important issue is oversight of how the money is spent. There are mothers receiving absurd amounts, from $1,000 to $5,000 a month for one child, just because the father has a high income. A child doesn't spend that kind of money. Finally, if the father is the primary caregiver, why isn't the mother required to pay? Men are chased to the ends of the earth for child support, but many women aren't even held accountable for anything. The system needs to be the same for everyone. Let's look at this man's case in the next video. Watch how the judge reacts.
And she's going to make this difficult. I've been paying child support for 5 years, and the kids just don't go over there at all.
I spend as much time as I can with my children. It's not, I know the overnights is, maybe that's what the court views it as. He bought her a dog.
Dad wants his overnights changed so he can stop paying child support and so mom can begin paying him child support.
All right, sir, and these are your motions, is that correct? Or your motion regarding parenting time, support, and custody, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, and what are you looking to change?
Just what has happened for the last 5 years. The kids haven't been going to their moms at all. I've been paying child support the entire time. Should have probably done this a long time ago, but yeah, no, it's been, maybe 5-6 times a year for the last 4 or 5 years. They've been to their mom's house. And so I just want what's already going on: full parenting time, no child support, full custody. It is what has happened.
All right, how many children under 18 do you have right now?
Just one now. My son is just turned 18.
Is your son still in high school or not?
No.
Okay. All right, so obviously we won't do anything related to him. Then you have another child that is how old?
16.
And it's your indication that you have the full custody at this time?
Yes, I have had for years.
And what type of parenting time is she spending with mom?
I don't know, 4 or 5 times, maybe, up to 10 times a year, possibly 10 nights a year, but that would be on the very high end.
All right. Is that a set schedule, or how does that come about when she goes to mom's house?
Just when it's absolutely necessary. There are times when I have to be at work very early in the morning, and we'll ask Nicole to drive them to school, and she will agree but demand that they stay the night. If for her to do so they begrudgingly stay the night. There have been a couple times where she just wanted to stay with her mom. But it's just been a couple times.
Oh, hell no!
You see what I'm talking about? This man has primary custody of his children, takes care of all their expenses and responsibilities, while the kids only spend about 10 nights a year with their mother. And yet, he's still forced to pay her $300 a month. How on earth is that fair? If the situation were reversed, this man would have to pay years of back support with accumulated interest. They'd go after him at his job, forbid him from seeing his kids, or limit him to supervised visits. But they always say that women are the victims, that they're just looking out for their children's best interests. Really?
Are you seeking to change obviously you're looking for the primary physical custody. What about legal custody? Are you asking that that be changed to legal custody or continue jointly?
I was asking for everything to be changed only because I was having difficulty getting advice. My main goal is to just not pay child support anymore because all the money is going to my ex-wife and none of it's going to the kids. Plus, I'm paying to support the children every day, all day. So I mean I'm paying.
Let's get back to: Are you asking to change the legal custody or keep the legal custody joint?
I guess change it only because of my ignorance, and I don't know exactly how that affects anything. I let them see their mom whenever they want to. I've always done that. But
legal custody has no impact on what your child support is. Legal custody just refers that the parties should work together to make major decisions, things like school or medical issues.
Yeah, no, that's legal custody. It's fine if I'm not asking the court to take legal custody away from her. No.
All right, thank you. All right, Ms. Jones, what are your response? Essentially, he's seeking that the physical custody be changed to indicate that he has the primary physical custody, and that you essentially have parenting time as agreed. And he indicates it's about 10 overnights a year. What are your thoughts on that?
I spend as much time as I can with my children. It's not, I know the overnights is, maybe that's what the court views it as. He bought her a dog and she's been required to be there to take care of the dog. So that's a lot of the time where I live. She asked me to get a dog and I said no because we're not home enough. Plus where I do.
I'm gonna redirect you to kind of what I was asking you. So he's asking it to be changed to indicate that parenting time is as agreed. Are you in agreement with that or not in agreement with that? And that he has the primary physical.
Is there like a set percentage of time that we can say that I can have my daughter versus him saying whenever she wants, or how do we do that?
Absolutely. You guys can have a hearing and we'll determine that. I think your last order just indicated again that it was parenting time is as the parties agree. So there is no set specific schedule. A parent is always entitled to seek a specific parenting time schedule. Is that what you would like to do, ma'am?
Well, I spoke to their daughter and she said she want to keep it the same. She wants to be able to do what she wants. So I told her we might have to change that, but depending on what Mr. Jones wants to do.
Well, what he wants to do appears is that the order indicate that he has the primary physical and that parenting time is as the parties agreed. Is that correct, Mr. Jones?
Yes, Your Honor. I will always let Nicole have the kids whenever she or they want. I've never stood in their way ever. I think one time I didn't let her go on vacation.
All right, that's okay, sir. We don't need to get into that. So just trying to see if we reach an agreement. If we don't have an agreement, we'll just set the matter for a court hearing. So, Ms. Jones, the proposal is that the language simply be changed. You currently already have parenting time as you agree, is what the order says, but you have joint physical. Mr. Jones is requesting that he have the primary physical and that we change whatever the overnights is as far as calculating support. So do you agree, Ms. Jones, do you agree to a change that gives Mr. Jones primary physical custody?
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
Meanwhile, the woman talks about the dog, without offering any valid argument to explain why she should receive money when she isn't the primary caregiver. The child spends a maximum of 10 nights a year with her, and even then, she could see her whenever she wants. So, Where did the $300 a month go? Of course, her nail and salon routine depends on it. According to data from the U.S. Census Bureau, approximately 80% of custodial parents are mothers, while only 20% are fathers. Although, in theory, there shouldn't be legal preference in practice, mothers are awarded custody far more often. Child support is typically calculated based on the non-custodial parent's income and the number of children. For example, some states apply a fixed percentage, 17% for one child, 25% for two children, and so on. This places the financial burden on non-custodial parents, who in most cases are men. Even within that 20% of custodial fathers, like this man, they don't receive financial support from the mother. On the contrary, they are often required to pay child support, while many mothers are not held accountable at all.
No.
Okay. We will set the matter then for a court hearing. We'll set it for April 17th. That would be at 11 a.m. That is a in-person court hearing. And given your daughter's age, she needs to appear also, so I can do the required child preference interview.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Any questions, Mr. Jones?
I guess just as my I filled out quite a bit of paperwork. This is just barely touching on it. There were arrearages that were ordered during a time when I was already ordered to pay all the household bills, but he added arrearages on top of that. I would like that to be addressed. I would like to be addressed the fact that I've been paying child support. Since she's going to make this difficult, I've been paying child support for 5 years, and the kids just don't go over there at all. For all intents and purposes.
We will, as part of that hearing, I will address support, but I will tell you that we can only modify support back to the date that your motion was filed. We can't go back further than that because you did not file a motion to do so. So we can't go back in time that far back. We can only go to the date that you actually filed your motion. Okay.
So I'm going to continue paying child support until that date. Is that the case? I mean, my big problem here is
currently there is an active support order, and we can make your support retroactive if you are successful in a support change or any support change that is made. It would be retroactive back to the date you filed your motion, which was February 12th. All right, that's the law of the matter. So we will see you both here in person, as well as your daughter, on April 17th at 11 a.m.
Does anyone else think this is unfair? Did you notice the judge's attitude toward the man? Even though he presented clear data and reports, it didn't seem to matter. Meanwhile, Ms. Jones, without valid arguments and talking more about a dog than her daughter, is still being favored. The system doesn't allow this man, even if he wins the case, to receive retroactive payments for the money he's been paying for over 5 years. This isn't an isolated case. I want you to take a look at these stats about mothers who don't pay child support. According to 2013 data, only 68.5% of the $32.9 billion owed in child support was actually received, with custodial parents receiving an average of $3,950 per year. About 74.1% of custodial parents received full or partial payments, while less than half, 45.6%, received full payments. And I can guarantee you that of that 45.6%, not a single mother has been jailed or pursued the way men are. But according to women, the system is fair. It's because of things like this that I create this content. This is abuse against fathers. What do you think about this case? Do you think this man will win? Would you like me to make a second part of this story to find out if he won his case? Let me know in the comments. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, here are some questions for you. Do you think the child support system is fair to both parents, or is it biased toward one side? If the father is the primary caregiver, should the mother be required to pay child support in the same way it's demanded of men? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and motivates us to create more content. Stay tuned for the next exciting video from The Wall.